ladder to Obsidian.
Yeah, Obsidian. We say down, but in terms of art design, I think we're moving up. Obsidian with
You're not
very,
wrong.
a
The
very cool
Obsidian
looking
badge
badge.
is pretty.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. It's too pretty. But I like it. You know, some of these players are very new and very dedicated, and I like that they get a cool badge. I also like that one of our competitors here, jd105l, which is just how we're going to say that, I guess. I would love some
I'm
kind
just
of way
going
to
to call
pronounce
him
that.
JD.
I think that's smart. Yeah. He's one of a handful of spies, although there are more than there used to be. This isn't as rare as it once was, who actually wins more spy games than sniper games. He is well over half of his spy games result in wins, and only a bit over half of his sniper games do. Granted, only a couple dozen on each. It's early yet, and there are a lot of unplayed matches, but even in a sample size of a few dozen games, that's pretty dramatic.
Absolutely. That is some impressive stats.
Yeah. T-Flame, on the other hand, close to a normal distribution. He wins about half of his sniper games and about a third of his spy games. That's much closer to normal. But he's looked stronger as the season has gone on. But this is a big test for him against JD. On paper, based on early season results, JD is definitely the favorite going into this.
All right. Well, I believe we are heading into. Let's go ahead and look at the draft real quick. Which week did this actually take place in? Was this last week's games?
I think this is week 6.
Week 6? Okay, let me go ahead and find it. Oh, I see it.
It is indeed, yeah. It is
All
week 6.
So we have banned T-Flame bans Ballroom, JD bans Library, and then T-Flame picks Gallery, JD picks Veranda, T-Flame picks Terrace. Been a while actually, and then we finish it off with JD picking Aquarium if we get there, but we have to get all the way there. Hopefully we will.
That doesn't really fit with any tendencies. They neither have played very many matches yet, and they don't seem to have particularly strong or pronounced feelings about which venues to pick or ban. So nothing really interesting here, except the games themselves, of course.
Hey, we might get back to the Shark Tank if it's close.
We might. I hope so.
Well, I suppose it's time to get ready to find out as we open the match off on Gallery.
Yep. Yeah.
T-Flame opening things off on the spy side, JD on the sniper. You guys know this map well. Let's see how these guys do.
Sorry, just a second. I was in the last match real quick. Sorry. Switching over.
No worries.
Okay.
Time is a construct. Don't worry about it.
That's right. Okay, we are on Gallery with Seek.
We are indeed.
Okay. All right. I believe we are good to go. Let me bring up the scoreboard. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
We did play it, right?
Oh yeah. You need to say playing it or it doesn't count.
I just had to make sure we did in fact play it.
It's not official. It's not even an official cast if you don't say playing it. I mean, clearly. It's in the bylaws somewhere, I'm sure. It's in the spy laws, if you will.
Slow start from T-Flame. Hasn't really been able to find anything early on. The conversations are too light to get a contact. The seduction target ran away from us. We are able to get a fingerprint off the briefcase, but
I'm a bit of a fan of this, just the instant briefcase, and then you've got that fingerprint all game, and you're going to space it out. You can fingerprint so late, there can be 2 or 3 minutes in between fingerprints. Just a little bit harder to remember, unless you're tracking it very specifically.
Went out front to see if we could pick up a flirt, but that is a very full conversation. Goes for a time ad, hits a green, and then stays at the window, and then moves.
I think this is going to be clean. JD basically zoomed in the entire time. Watching that AMBA and that guest list, which are right next to each other, that's actually a great time to time ad because the 2 things the sniper's most worried about are right there in the back.
That is very true indeed. T-Flame now stepping into statues to pick up both a highlight and a pair of inspects.
And you think at this point they're figuring, you know what, I think the fingerprint might have been free. I think I got away with a time ad. I'm just going to make steady progress here. Pick my spots. Softail games are powerful in Gallery, and if you go fingerprint, certainly, if you have that much more time to space those fingerprints out, it just really strains the sniper to catch you for it.
Let this be a lesson to you. If you can avoid it, never inspect your own statue first, because he could have easily gotten 2 there. winds up with just the one inspect in pocket, gets a flirt before the section target runs away from him for 34%, but that time ad is definitely coming in useful now.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And you're right. If you can scroll through and get the other inspect first, you never know who's going to pick it up. I actually ran into this issue myself in a match earlier today, although I don't think it was totally my fault. It was a little random. But if you know, even if you know it, if you don't hit that wheel just enough, that scroll wheel or that key, suddenly it can come back to bite you. In this case, it looks like we're going to be okay because we're getting it done early, precluding the possibility of that screwing us over in the late game.
2 minutes left to play, 1 mission completion. I think tflame knows that this is a difficult map to deal with time-wise. It's a lot longer walking distances than it feels like sometimes, and that may have been why he went for the time ad, but it's starting to show now. Minute and 30 to play and just the one completion. We still need 2 more flirts as well.
And look at this. This is the scary walk all the way down gallery to the ST who you hope doesn't leave. And T-Flame, even with room in the conversation, I don't know if you had to stop there and you really need that flirt. I think I would have at least hung at windows.
Yeah, I don't think he realized there was room in that conversation. That could have been a bug.
Hard to say, and it's probably not going to hurt you, but you already walked all that way, and you know you've burned the last 35 seconds, and you still need 2 flirts, not 1.
Yeah, I'm at this point, it looks like he's just not going to be getting the flirts done under a minute. There's the transfer. White test, the head turn was there, but it's a little bit hard to see that turbine move when you're zoomed out.
Yeah, and then what's really interesting is that JD is letting their zoom level be determined by where everyone is. They are zoomed out because the ambassador is out front. They weren't when the ambassador was in the back. So when the ambassador's out front, you can get away with murder back there, at least against this particular sniper in this particular game.
Oh, look at this. Contact has come off, but there was no SDA out front, so all of those people got low-lit. Now we've got a Purloin coming out of the back with a hugely narrowed down party. Has been seen. Shot comes off. JD opens the game up with a bang.
And that felt like a winnable game for T-Flame. I think if he goes and gets that second flirt out front rather than doing the stop and leave, rather than burning those 30 or so seconds, he wouldn't have to go into microfilm and then Purloin late. Look at that. 3 missions done, half a microfilm, a third of seduce, and 1 fingerprint. That is, if you just take a snapshot of that mission complete right there, you can say, wow, this clearly did not go as planned.
Yeah, absolutely. That is very, very true. JD getting ready to step into the spy side of gallery. Let's see if he can stick to his playbook a little bit closer. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I really think you, even though it's a little awkward there, so many more options at that point. I like the microfilm choice, though. That was solid. With the Amba out front, the sniper was just not seeing it. But the Purloin, I think, is the only clearly regrettable decision.
Absolutely agree. JD opens things up at green bookcase and pulls the book out with him to go flirt early on in the game. Not able to get the flirt off before the seduction target steps away from him, but he does go to green bookcase, which JD needs to go to anyways to put this book away. So that should be a free flirt when he wasn't able to get it in the conversation. And for 51%. Does he take the microfilm? There's not a lot of cover, and JD just puts it back innocently.
Yeah, I think that's right. The fact that you got the green flirt probably informs that decision, too. You have a chance of not needing the time yet. But you definitely can't idle around too much because that 51% took you a little while.
And like T-Flame, picks up a fingerprint off the briefcase early on in the game. But it's hard to tell from that distance. This is not a conversation you want to be in, though. This is not a great position. We've got the double agent with us, but there's just nothing going on out front right now.
Yeah, and you just can't afford to idle this much. You see now, basically, almost an entire minute has passed since that first flirt now.
No mission completions as of yet. JD might be going. I think he's starting to feel how low on time he is. Does indeed hit it. It's a white test.
And T-Flame zoomed in. One thing I've actually been impressed with a lot of the spies we've cast recently is the way they've really internalized time ad before you need it. A good solid minute before. Map the game out in your head, budget your time, and if it looks like you're not going to make it, do the time ad the second you think you're not going to make it, not when you're sure you can't.
Because at that point, you're already in the beep beeps, and it's a bad situation no matter how you slice it as far as checking the watch goes.
I don't care how little you watch for time ads in general. And at the end of a game, you're really watching for them. Then you're aware.
Absolutely. Under a minute 45, even with the time ad. We have been to both bookcases now. We don't have any microfilm progress, though. And we're very exposed here, so I doubt we're going to get any. Seduction Target steps in with us. It's a white test, though, so no two-flirt. 84% is where we stand. JD heading back out front. Looks like he's eyeing up the double A mission done with 1 minute left to play. No steps away from him. So as we go down past the final minute, JD still without a single green check mark on the top left.
Yeah, and there's some decent progress here, but it's just not enough. That even with the time ad, if anything, they could have thought about time adding again out front. But also, look at the party. T-Flame does not have a single low light yet.
Yeah, I think JD is really banking on some sort of bad shot by the sniper here, but he has to get a contact off if he wants to make that happen. Purloin is going to be at the painting, right in the back where you're looking for it, saw the list go away, probably had a look at the fade. T-Flame not willing to take the shot, but it's okay because JD's got nothing to play for right now.
Yeah, he's just really confident. He hasn't heard anything. Not that many statue visitors. That'll help a little bit, but I just don't think it's going to be enough.
5 seconds left. It's not going to be enough. There's no way it's going to be enough.
Yeah, you can't then. If you do that at 12 maybe, especially with all the highlights out front with an SDA, look at the end of that game. Look at all the highlights out front with an SDA. If you get that shot, if you get that BB off at 11 seconds, that's a much different scenario. Now, it's pretty unlikely any of them could have purloined, but that's what you need to do. That's at least going to maximize your chances there. You do it at 5, there's just no reason to shoot. So really good patience there from T-Flame.
Absolutely. Seeing some unfortunate time management from both players off the first game, although Gallery is a very easy map to have bad time management on. Let's see if T-Flame can make some sort of adjustment stepping into his second round of Spy in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, I mean, we say it all the time. Even really, really experienced spies have trouble with the pacing here sometimes, so not surprising that some newer ones would too.
Especially for the first game of a competitive set, for the first venue of a competitive set.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
T-Flame starts off the festivities by pulling out a blue book and stepping into conversation next to the seduction target, picking up 51% on the flirt for his troubles.
And we might just timer flirt here. It's kind of like Library. I mentioned Library's slow character. While your ST is there, if there's a chance to finish it off, go ahead. But T-Flame instead going to just wait a reasonable amount of time and leave.
Yep. Looks like we're going to go clean the book, see if we can get a contact while we're at it. Pretty good saturation in the conversations, especially now that Hare's joined us.
Banana bread.
Contact comes off on the green test.
Yeah, the front conversation circle known for its famous book cleaning services.
6 lowlights is not actually terrible on this map. It's not good, but it's not terrible.
Yeah, and that tells you a lot about Gallery, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We've seen worse for sure. Yeah, below average, let's say, but not game-breaking. And at this point, you got to really feel like T-Flame doesn't have a lot of intention of putting this back where they found it.
No, absolutely not. Especially not now that it's been cleaned. Ambassador's right next to us, but I don't think we're in a position to bug.
And if you're trying to dump this book, that might be overthinking it too anyway. If you see a great bug, take it, but that doesn't feel like that's the game plan right now. So, you got your game plan, you improvise, you take the opportunity if it's a really good one, but if it's not a really good one, stick to the plan.
Indeed it has, and now the plan is to put this book away in green. So much cover. If he didn't see us coming back here, he's not going to know we're here at all. Minute and 30 left to play as the book goes down. 2 missions done. Half a flirt. Not able to find a spot in conversation to get the next one, but it doesn't matter. JD is on top of things, knows where that book came from, and is willing to take the shot for it.
JD knows their color combinations. He says, wait a second, when you mix blue with green, you get teal, so you're dead. That's how it works. I didn't make it up.
All right. I'll take it.
JD will take it. That's a really good shot. That's just nice and calm. T-Flame did everything right if you're going to make that particular move. I don't know how much I like it in general, but that's the way you do it. That is the correct way to do it. It was really spaced out, but just JD's on it. JD is on it.
JD is on it. Let's see if he's on top of the time management on the spy side. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, Spy's having a lot of trouble so far.
Taft has a very fast gait. Lots of people pick him as the ambassador, partly for that reason, partly just because he's large and can hide you well, but he's a speedy boy, and that could help.
Yeah, let's say deceptively quick.
No contact off the top of the game, which is probably wise considering the amount of walking going on inside. Stepping all the way back out to the seduction target, who was in the other conversation, looking for the first flirt.
So what's interesting about that is it's a pretty similar banana bread to the one we saw in the previous game, which, as we agreed, was just a little below average, but not terrible. But it's at the very beginning, too. So there's less urgency. You're not worried about time yet, and you got to figure you're probably going to get a better opportunity at some point, so I like the decision not to go for it there.
Absolutely. Able to pick up 51% off the first flirt as well, and the double agent walks in to join us. So we have another opportunity if we want it, although this one's maybe not quite as good.
No, certainly not. And once again, the spy's thinking, I think, I would really love to timer flirt here if the ST will just stick around.
But as the conversations start to fill up, we do in fact take the contact. Lets off 4, I believe, lowlights, which is, yeah, you take that. Takes a green purloin off the back of the conversation as well.
I think they're probably in pretty good shape here.
Oh, I think he just saw the fade.
Yeah, he did, but he's not. No, he highlit the taker. That's really good for JD. But he does get highlight for walking out.
Though.
Really solid. So obviously not confident, but the fact that they highlight JD for that is really impressive. They were zoomed out when the reject happened, I think it was. JD actually did that really, really well. It was timed in the wake of the banana bread too, but the fact that JD is a highlight is just such a good recovery from T-Flame.
Oh, absolutely free bug as T-Flame is zoomed in on the back. JD may have just retaken the reins with that move.
Yeah, when he split on that purloin, I thought JD just surged into the lead in this game. Then T-Flame highlighted him, and I thought, nope, it's back the way it was. And now with the bug, it's rubber banded back the other way. JD is suddenly in a commanding position again.
This has been a very exciting game so far. Safety off on Cowboy. Not just taking the shot yet.
Just lining up the shot. He was really holding that there. Normally, the snipers will flash it to tell future casters who they're suspicious of. In this case, it was more like a full-on safety-off laser burn.
It was indeed. That's not a pad, but it looks fine. Doesn't matter either way, because T-Flame does indeed decide to pull the trigger, and JD takes the first map 3-1.
And the Civ shot is not really consequential, because as we can see there, even though you still need a green potentially to finish, you have a minute, and you're probably not a massive suspect. You're one of several. So JD was still pretty darn likely to win that game, I think. But they were just looking for any reason to shoot Cowboy there at the end.
Absolutely good stuff by JD coming out of that. Man, we were saying that he had to work on his time management, and he did. That was a very solid game, Spy.
Yeah, I like what Slappy's doing there with the rewind. It kind of looks like one of those moves where you get knocked to the ground in a kung fu movie and you do that little leg jump thing to get up real quick. That's what it looks like. I like it. I had
think
no
that's
idea.
that is the closest thing to breakdancing we are going to get in this game.
Only because Slappy's not playing tonight. Yeah, he's hosting instead.
This is true.
Love you, buddy.
T-Flame stepping back into the Spy side, this time on Veranda. Any 5 of 8 in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I really don't feel like those boots are conducive to that kind of dancing. It feels more like a square dance shoe to me.
You do not wear cowboy boots to break dance. It's a terrible idea. Do not do it.
And I think it's fair to say you would know, wouldn't you?
You're not wrong.
Yes. Little known
T-Flame
fact.
opens things up with a time ad. That is certainly one way to deal with the time management issue.
Yeah, that'll work. I don't know if it's as necessary on Veranda as it is on Gallery, but I can't argue with it, especially because it seems like they might have gotten away with it. Let's see if we get some lowlights here or not.
Flirt at the statue. I don't think I've ever seen a statue flirt get only 30%, but also he's only able to get the 1 inspect from it. That should be fine.
It's a pretty good trade, yeah. So you've got the time ad and you've got partial progress across 2 soft tails right off the bat. You still have 4 minutes left on the clock, and you have a very rote highlight. I think it's a good start.
Yeah, I agree. Stepping into conversation with the double agent. Oh, never mind. Double agent steps out of the conversation with us. But the contact still comes off, and now we're sad.
Yeah, that's 4 possible lowlights, but let's see how many they get. There's 2 so far.
Oh, speaking of lowlights!
Assuming real. And
Assuming real, not even realizing that that's where the double agent came from, re-enters, second contact.
What do you do with those now?
JD has to reconsider, but he's not.
Oh, this is huge for 2 reasons. First of all, assuming real always risky, right? Certainly. But it's particularly risky if you're not aware that an SDA, or DA, but SDA from the sniper's perspective, has just left that conversation, in which case it could just be a mistake, bad timing, not deliberate. Fine. But when they re-enter and you hear another one, how do you not reconsider those lowlights? I know it's tough, because here's the problem. You'd be giving back the hard lowlights too, unless you remember. That is a tough sacrifice to make. It's really tempting probably to say, you know what, my first instinct was good. But the narrative created by the SDA walking away and then another one happening when they come back, that's too hard to ignore.
Absolutely. And that was absolutely the turning point of this game, because right after that, Purloin green test from a low light from the front windows. That's the kind of weird, unusual Purloin that you might miss even on a highlight, but with a low light doing it, that's a completely free mission. 3 completions now. Second flirt for 81%, and with still 2 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock, this is a 1 game.
What's really interesting is to consider that T-Flame probably has not guessed that they're low-lit, and they still did that Purloin. The definition of dramatic irony is that the audience knows something that the characters don't. That's kind of what this feels like right now. We know the spy is low-lit. The spy doesn't know that, and they're not necessarily behaving as if they know that. Yeah, that would have been free as a lowlight anyway. As it turns out, that is the moment JD decided to loop all the way around to the far right of Veranda. It would have been free if they were pulsating and glowing, let alone low-lit.
That didn't have to be so pretty, but it still was. Here's the last flirt. There's the mission countdown. JD's got nothing to play for, and T-Flame is fighting back.
Yeah, T-Flame on fire. Appropriately named. What I find really interesting is how aggressive they were when they probably didn't guess they have a low light.
Yeah.
Really strong stuff, and they really needed it too, because they would have gone down 4-1 with that, and instead, they're sniping for a tie.
Yeah, T-Flame. That was a really big game, and a strong one no matter how you slice it. Now, T-Flame steps on to the sniper side, with JD looking to maintain that lead in 3, 2, 1, playing it. opening up with that quick green flirt. Really fast this time, actually.
Green flirt, green character, green seduction target.
Lots of green going on.
JD
He
hoping
knows
for a
his
lot more
color
green.
combinations.
Yeah, absolutely. Easier to flirt pair, too. JD hoping there'll be a lot more of that, I'm sure. It can make a big difference on Veranda.
Absolutely. Looks like he might just sit here for the timer flirt. He's got the first one off quick. He's nice and close. There's time to work with, and not having to deal with flirtations in the latter half of the game could be very nice.
It's really nice to be able to plan out the quote-unquote scary missions with the flirt already done early. Yeah, it really frees you up to just game
okay,
plan.
well, that was scary, but the seduction target hangs out. Purloin has come off on the white test out of nowhere. Hasn't got a good look at the list yet. Another
T-Flame has now.
taker.
Yeah, T-Flame, I'm not sure how confident they're going to be. They're going to low light based on general proximity here. I just don't think General's a big suspect, though.
No, I don't think so either. I think that went off very nicely indeed. Two flirt as well. Powerful start from JD on this game.
Okay.
This is really big.
It really is, and the really bad thing for T-Flame is they looked over at Salmon, where the list is now, and I think they high-lit them, low-lit them, and they ended up neutral-lit. So they just could not make up their mind about what to do with this particular character. That indicates a lot of uncertainty about this Purloin. Even though it was a white, they just noticed it too late. If you don't notice it within a few seconds, it's almost like it's just free, because you can't do anything with confidence. You have to take aggressive low-lights or you're behind. And now T-Flame's camera movement even looks so much more erratic and frustrated. It's like night and day. JD, I don't think, has to do anything at this point.
Yeah, frustrated, agitated, nervous. This is T-Flame knows he is behind, and he is casting about for anything that could pull him back into this game, and JD is not giving him a thing.
No, but here's the thing. If T-Flame could see that mission count, they'd feel very differently, because we know JD's actually still got quite a bit to do. They have plenty of time for it, but they haven't even been to statues yet, and there's been no banana bread. So
Still got 2 minutes to play, but he is indeed starting to run down on the clock. The question is, does he need to finish missions? It's not a bad bug. It's not a great bug, but it's not a bad bug, and T-Flame did not see it.
no, just way too much movement, and not just movement from the party and the spy, movement from the sniper. I mentioned that the sniper looked more erratic. He is moving around so much right now. It's so twitchy, and it makes it hard to see a good walking bug, and by God, does the General have a good walking bug.
You're not wrong. Under a minute and a half now, but 3 mission completions as we step into conversation with a double agent. Yes, that mission is still available.
It's been a very eventful but silent game. Does JD really want to go to statues twice at the end, or do they just want to swap for the win here?
That's a really good contact, too. 1 minute to play, the swap comes off. It's a very good position. T-Flame is just now looking around. This could be
Just
the
now
moment
looking.
he needs.
Is he gonna save this?
He sees it! Does he
save
take
it?
the shot? He does not!
Wow.
And it was scary for a moment there, but JD makes it happen nonetheless.
I think it's similar to last game in that JD doesn't know he's not a big suspect. So he swaps instead of inspects because he doesn't think he can survive 2 late visits, too much time for the sniper to think. We know that he's actually one of many suspects still. So I think the inspects would have worked and been safer. There were a couple seconds there where T-Flame had to make that decision. And I think he just wasn't thinking of General as a big suspect. If he had, he would have been ready to jump on the swap. Just enough hesitation. JD took a huge lead, though, and almost lost it in the end, too.
That was far, far more dramatic than it had to be, but it worked out in the end. JD holding on to the 2-game lead and stepping back onto the sniper side. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Boy, that was just night and day after that Purloin. That was the whole game. You catch it in a few seconds, you narrow the party down, and you're all over General at the end. You don't catch it in a few seconds, and you're just not willing to take those aggressive lowlights. It's too risky. So twice, spies have to get missions done with very little suspicion, but not knowing how little suspicion they have. It's always interesting to see how spies react in that situation, unlike the situations where they're fishing for a lowlight and think they might have one.
T-Flame opening up the game at the front statues, picks up a pair of inspects and a highlight to boot, although he does already have a lot of glowy friends at the party.
You say glowy friends, I say nuclear family.
Well, now we're at a green bookcase. We got a time ad. We're doing some microfilmage.
Yeah, and this is the safe shelf. This is easily the easiest of the three to get away with. In fact, I like to do it at the end if you can. Please don't pay attention to what I just said, fellow Diamond Snipers, because that's the one that feels close to free. If that conversation's full, they really have to be staring at you to catch that microfilm, even on white sometimes, and green's good freaking luck. But the red is much tougher. The blue can be very tough. The blue only works because usually there's a lot of stuff going on the other side if you time it well. You don't see green first as often, I don't think.
Yeah, I think that's true, but JD, not as much as T-Flame, but definitely likes to move around on the sniper, so if you can tuck in on the inside of the blue bookcase, there are definitely going to be moments when that's free. Picks up a briefcase with a difficult fingerprint and is not able to hit it.
I like the difficult fingerprint as the first attempted fingerprint because if it fails, you can plan a little differently as a result.
Now in conversation with the double agent. Not a bad time for it.
Well, it's not bad at all. Again, you're gonna let off some lowlights on Veranda, certainly. But we know, oh boy, right now, let's see, one of the SDAs is out. One went in, one went out at the same time. It's looking a lot worse now, though.
Oh, he waits until it was bad before he takes the contact.
There were 6.
Starting to roll in. Now
there were at least 6 there. Yeah, and one of them was Sorry, though, who did not get it. So JD, I think, missed a few. They only got, I think, 4 out of 6, maybe 7.
T-Flame tucking in on the far side to try to hide his arm for the last transfer, and as well as that, picking up a fingerprint off the blue books. T-Flame knows his color complexes. Blue plus green equals spy.
Equals spy. Yes, it is. That's how the math works. And JD was watching that ambassador pretty closely. What's interesting is that Toby was on that side too, and there's a statue visitor. So what that tells me is the fact that JD was looking so far on the left anyway means that they are disproportionately interested in the ambassador relative to Purloin or anything else.
2 mission completions, 1 the contact, 1 the transfer, 1 fingerprint, and 2 inspects.
Pretty
now
good.
Stepping in for the first flirt of the match at 1:30 to play.
That's the real problem. If you looked at this mission setup and had even 1 flirt before this one, you're in a wildly different position than you are now, especially given that you're flirting from across there. This is going to be really rough. They might want to think about time adding now even, or go complete 1 or 2 of those soft tells as quickly as possible.
Emphasis on as quickly as possible, T-Flame. You can't keep idling here. You don't have enough time on the clock for this.
And you got to wonder if T-Flame thinks they're being laser burned. I think JD's maintaining a central position to watch the Amba and the guest list is all it is, but the laser happened to be sitting right on the spy's head.
Amba decides to take a path around back of the conversation and bails T-Flame out in a big way. A huge reverse drive-by bug leaves off basically a free mission. And this is absolutely huge. Now T-Flame just needs 1 visit the statues and he's done, or it looks like he's going to try to finish up the flirt because he just hit this green.
If that bug happened earlier, they would have gone to statues right away and started looking for the fingerprint, but because the cooldown timer was almost gone, they figure I can flirt, I can inspect, and then I can flirt 1 more time. They're gonna wait for the Ember to leave and try to get a print, I guess.
No, I think he's just trying to get away from his seduction target so he can get back in for the flirt. There's the cooldown inspired. No, he's going for the print.
The print and the seduce, I guess, to finish?
I guess it must be, but he's not going to be able to survive that print. JD is on top of things and is able to extend that lead to 3.
That's a slightly surprising shot. I'm not sure what the plan there was at the end. He had a lot of options, and I wasn't sure if he was really settling on any of them quick enough. But the shot is so interesting. How are you that suspicious of that character, but not suspicious enough to notice the bug? Maybe he just looked away for a moment, and that's all it comes down to. Because you figure when he got away with that bug, he went from he's not going to have enough time to finish to he has so many ways to finish. And yet he still gets shot.
Yeah. I'm thinking probably just assumed the Amba was safe as he was moving and was looking at other things.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations where someone's not walking towards the Amba's walking to you. If you're in the perfect position, you jump all over it. But what are the odds the spy is standing in the perfect position there? That's not one of those walkways the Amba's just constantly coming by that you could sort of plan out on Gallery or Tan or a few other places. That doesn't happen every single game over and over again on Veranda. I'm just surprised that they were able to take that shot for the print without noticing the bug.
Yeah. Either way, it was a good shot. And JD now finds himself with a very comfortable lead indeed, as T-Flame needs some way to fight back into this. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Both spies have shown so much progress, though, that you really figure plenty of spy wins could still be in the offing now. The mere fact that you're down a couple and you have to spy coming up after this one, not necessarily a death sentence. This seems like a very fluid match, and we see that in a lot of these levels: obsidian, iron, even copper, hell, a lot, sometimes gold, where just spies win enough games that you don't just have to hold serve.
Oh, that was almost an incredible bug. That is something that you would never expect to see a spy attempt. But JD did, and it was almost beautiful until it didn't take.
Ooh, dinged either for a possible timeout or for a quick window leave. It's hard to say. It actually was surprising. Normally, you'll get spies bailing from windows on white timeouts for obvious reasons. Usually, if they hit the green, they hang around for a couple of seconds. JD got out of there even with the green.
Either way, got dinged for something. Big highlight on JD now as he picks up the blue bookcase and pulls it across the map. I think T-Flame has to have some alarm bells going off as JD picks up that first flirt for 51%.
I assume you mean book. Taking the whole bookcase would indeed be a hard tell.
You're not wrong.
Sorry, I can't.
And also a bug report as the fake contact comes off.
Yep. I think we'd have to report that one. Probably not intended behavior, although I'd love to see it. Why not? Can you mark bookcases too? Let's find out.
I think those are marked automatically.
So JD, is this a book cleaning? I mean, normally you'd say green to red, maybe you're going to hang out with it, but you take blue all the way to the left side, you almost never walk it back. That's a lot of waste of time.
That's a shot, T-Flame. We thought he was onto him for the time ad, definitely knew where that book came from, and was not letting that stand. Back into things, not letting this lead get out of hand. He keeps things within 2.
Yeah, and on to Terrace, and that's exactly the way to put it. Not letting it get out of hand. He's still in trouble, but he just needs to get that spy win, and suddenly he'll be sniping for a tie again, but you're running out of time. You give up one more game, and it gives up a point.
This is very true. But if you're looking for a comeback, it's hard to do. Well, you could do a lot worse than. Why can I not think of the name of this venue?
Terrace. You could do a lot worse than Terrace.
I was trying to vamp until the name came to me, and it never did.
I like the dramatic pause. Yeah, I didn't want to cut it off. I was on the edge of my seat. I will say it's not as valuable for the kind of swings that you want here in this position as some of the other 3-5 maps. It still feels pretty sniper favored, but it's not veranda, it's not courtyard, it's not something like that. So if you're T-Flame, you'll take it.
If you're T-Flame, you're apparently just gonna be Smallman and see what we can make of this. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, and I like it. The value of Smallman on this one, I think, is that sometimes you can delegate and just not be seen. Oh my goodness, look at this bar. Happy hour.
Yeah. Also, one of the great things about being Smallman on this map is he's not particularly suspicious on this venue.
No, he's not. I mean, maybe there's some bugs, right? There's going to be some free bugs sometimes, or just bug paths. But, right, you get some of the benefits, but not all the suspicions. A bit of a trade-off. T-Flame's pick, I'll remind you. He wanted this.
If we don't delegate someone here, this is a huge lost opportunity.
Yeah, because at minimum, you can delegate sandwiched between 2 people who are already at bar, or stand yourself between a couple people who are at bar and pretend to be delegated to, and you get it down to, instead of normally forcing it down to 50-50 for the Purloin, you could probably, with a little bit of patience, force it down to 3, and those are actually pretty good odds if you're forcing them to shoot.
Absolutely.
50-50 is about what you might get anyway, but 1 out of 3, oh yeah. 2 out of 3 chances you're the wrong person.
We have to do something with this because we spent a lot of time at that bar.
Yeah, and the highlights are moving around. They're dispersed. They're not as clustered as you would like, but this is pretty good.
There's the second flirt, white test for 68%. I expect to see the delegate happen any moment now. Not yet. T-Flame back on the move. He might be
Trying to frame
just...
Papa.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Operation Frame the Cane. Let's see if it works.
Frame the cane. It.
Will JD love it?
Let's find out. Here comes the take. List is gone.
Oh, and I love the Cane leaves as it happens and goes and gets a briefcase. I love how he kind of walks away from the scene of the crime. He's acting a little suspicious here after the bird goes off. You better believe T-Flame's going to be waiting for Cane to be in the same conversation.
Absolutely. Minute and 20 seconds is plenty of time. This is too far for the flirt. We have to hit the green test here. Luckily, we do.
And you get a banana. You need them to be in the same conversation. It's a minute. It probably will happen. If it does, you force them to, at best, a 50-50 shot. DA's not obliging.
DA's taking briefcase. We've still got time. There's still a minute left to play.
But what if they go into the other one and you have to chase them? You need them
Get
to come
over
in.
here, Boots. There she is. It's just the bug. It's the reverse drive-by bug as Smallman as the Emma goes around the backside. We don't even need the double agent coming in. And T-Flame is back within one.
Silent game on Terrace is powerful, and it's just like I said, T-Flame is now sniping for the tie. They would have put the sniper to a very tricky decision there, potentially, with that banana bread, but they got something one better. Forget your BB. I've got Bug, and I've got the win, and I'm one away.
That is a beautiful little pickup. Very, very good play by T-Flame. Even when his plan was lining up perfectly for him, a better one dropped into his lap.
That's exactly right. He wasn't relying on it. He didn't get some little Hail Mary, fall out of the sky kind of little miracle to save him when he wasn't going to finish. He was going to finish anyway, but he waits. A better opportunity comes along. He seizes it. That was planning and opportunism.
And now T-Flame is sniping for the draw. It will be 5-5 if he can find this game. Let's see if JD can keep his lead in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And here's the flip side. You're thinking, hey, Terrace, maybe I can score a spy win. I sure need one. But now you have to snipe in the same kind of situation, potentially.
That's true.
You go ahead and pick your swingy maps, you pick your spy favored maps, your sniper favored maps, whatever. But then you got to change roles. That's the beauty of the game, is how asymmetric it is and how you have to play both sides.
Slow start from JD, eyeing up his seduction target, but not jumping on her yet. Ambassador steps in right next to her on the Kane side. Lots of cover. No right click.
No.
Well, we did actually right-click, but it was too late. The Ambassador was already on the way out.
And as good as Kane's walking bug can be, his in-conversation bug is actually pretty noticeable. There's a pronounced lean, so it might be for the best.
Either way, wasn't seen. Steps into conversation with the seduction target and picks up 51% on the flirt, 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, there's no reason to rush anything on Terrace. Get the seduce out of the way, and then make the big decisions at the best possible times.
And it looks like this first decision is going to be a timer flirt. No, I stand corrected. JD heading to bar.
It sure looked like that, but instead it's just spacing things out. You can always... This actually works, too, because you can take the delegate, give yourself an option, come back and flirt. So you've spaced it out, too. And you've given yourself an option in the meantime. Ooh, and they do the reject cheese. So they have a delegate in their pocket, but they don't have a drink.
Always a nice little move to see, especially when you're not expecting it. 2 flirt comes off. So that's going to be very helpful. Still a minute and 40 to play with a delegate in pocket.
You could go delegate BB and dare them to shoot with 90 seconds on the clock when you don't even have a drink. That would be a tough shot.
I would love it. Doesn't look like it's happening, though. The delegate timer is starting to tick down.
Yeah. For those who don't know, with that delegate, it is technically a hard tell when you kind of twitch forward like that and avoid it and everything. If you see it, it's a dead giveaway. But if you're not looking for it closely, it just looks like you didn't take a drink and you can't possibly have purloined. I think this is going to work.
It very well might. There's the purloin.
And there's a shake from
did
T-Flame.
indeed come off in time. T-Flame doesn't
In the
know.
red.
The contact comes off. Lowlights the people at the bar. T-Flame doesn't know what's going on, doesn't know how to react, and now it's too late. As JD gives another very nice showing on the spy side.
Yeah, and you saw a little twitch from the sniper again, as if, whoa, I wasn't expecting a Purloin. Is that just a direct? And then the BB goes off, and the confusion is heaped upon confusion because it can't even be the only suspect you have for the Purloin, I think is what happened there. And you just don't know what's up. It doesn't make sense, and you've only got a few seconds to figure it out. The game is just over. Spies go 2-0 on Terrace.
JD maintains the lead. It is 6-4. 2 match points. And he's got a shark to help him out with them. Let's see what T-Flame can do about it, starting off on the spy side of Aquarium. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And I sometimes wonder if some of the newer players are actually already more well-versed in how to play Aquarium than some of the older ones, who have not always gotten around to it as much.
It could very well be.
And right off the bat, JD's spending a lot more time paying attention to early microfilmers, potentially, than you normally see here. But there's so many other good hardtails that you just don't see it too often.
Oh, T-Flame. It looked almost like JD caught him at the end of that transfer, but didn't highlight.
Well, clearly they know something I don't. Watching for early microfilm, and one did indeed take place, although I don't think they caught it. High-level decision-making was right, even though if the execution might have missed it.
Blue microfilm in pocket, or right in next to the ambassador, but it's too exposed to try anything here.
Yeah, you're gonna get better bug opportunities. It's a lot like Tan in that way.
Especially with that shark swimming around.
It's a very well-trained shark. It seems to follow a very set pattern. It's impressive.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could train a shark.
That thing is like clock.
It's almost like it's a robotic shark.
Oh my god. Shark!
It's even cooler, right? I mean, people already joke that the Queen's
head
dog...
cannon!
Everything is a robot. All animals are robots. The Queen's dog is a robot.
Nothing has really gotten that transfer, but other than that, just now we're picking up our first flirt. And that's the only other progress we have, 45% with under 2 minutes and 15 to play. Now stepping back into conversation with the second target again, but we still have to wait for that cooldown.
I think people could tell not much had happened, given by the fact that we were doing headcanon stuff about dogs and sharks, yeah.
That's true.
Probably a dead giveaway, really, without even seeing the mission progress.
Under 2 minutes now. There's the cooldown expired. There's the next flirt. There's the white test for 79%.
And she leaves as if it were a red. That's helpful, at least, I guess. But
Yeah.
we're running low on time, and we don't have quite as much progress as you'd normally want to see in an aquarium game, I think, at this point.
No, certainly not. 1 minute and 30 and not a single mission completion. Double Agent steps out of conversation, luckily joins ours, but T-Flame doesn't want it as he steps out to the green bookcase.
And I guess we're going to get the microfilm done, but look at this. You're not going to have time the shark. You're not timing it right with the shark.
Oh, it's so clear. It's right there. Saw the arm, saw the head turn, saw the bullet coming off. As JD closes out the set 7-4.
Wow. Yeah. Really solid. I understand, why they did it. I just think the timing there is the problem. If you do it a little earlier, it's basically free. Maybe you're credited with it, fine. But this is just where you get used to the shark's timing or not. It's not easy, but you have enough of a window that if you go a little too early, keep in mind, if you go too early, you can hang out there for a couple of cycles until it catches up, potentially. It's a while before you're there too long. But if you're there too late, it's not going to work at all. You literally have to walk away and come back. So err on the side of being early when you want the shark to cover something like that.
Absolutely. That is purely an experience issue. The high-level decision-making was there, maybe a little bit slow. You'd like to see a little bit more mission progress at that point, but that was still a very doable game, but just mistimed it on the shark.
Yeah, and if you look back just to sum up the whole set, certainly a lot of good sniper play, a lot of good spy progress too. It's just really easy to imagine that you flip a couple small things for T-Flame. You know, they catch that Perlin on Terrace, for example, and then they could play on Aquarium for a split maybe, or even a win if you flip some earlier outcomes earlier. There were a lot of individually close games. So even though it's 7-4, it felt awfully close to me. And I felt both players actually played pretty darn well. It's scary to me that this is
Yeah, absolutely. Like, man, this is these. If I was going to join the SCL right now, these are not the kind of players I would be looking forward to playing.
No, you wouldn't just clean up in the bottom ranks necessarily right away, right? And just,
Yeah.
move your way up. But you did see some missing experience, certainly the bar purloin thing, little things like that. They do get you sometimes. So you just got to round that out a little bit. Differences in knowledge at this level can make a big difference because they can swing spy games and matches.
Absolutely. And now that we have our second match of the night in the books, it's time